Sammy, and we're doing our Oh My High Insider for this month. And I'm really excited about the topic we've picked for this month, Sammy. It's going to be all about blogs. And I'm going to just jump over to Sammy, and she's going to show you some really cool things that you should be including in your blog posts.
Yeah, I feel like we get a lot of questions. Should I blog? I blog. We create a blog because Oh My High makes it super easy. But all blogs are not created equal. And so we're going to give
Hmm.
you some tips because I do think, Lisa, we get a lot of questions like, well, I have a blog, but it's not converting, right? Or people aren't
Hmm.
doing anything with it. And so today we're just going to give you kind of 5 mistakes or opportunities that I see that people are not putting into their blogs. And then Lisa's going to show you how to make it easy with Oh My High and create your own custom way of doing it yourself. So I'm going to share one blog post. Can you see that? Um,
Yep.
and we're going to talk through kind of 5 things that you want to pay attention when it comes to your blog. So the first thing is your title. Um, Titles on a blog are going to be similar to your subject line in your email newsletter, right? Like it's the thing that's going to get, if they're scrolling your blog page, what's going to get them to click? If you're sending it out in an email, what's going to get them to click? If you're sharing it on social media. And we don't want to be clickbaity, we don't want to lie, we don't want to be kind of making things up, but we also want to make sure that it's about what are they going to get out of this post, not what do we do. So, um, this one is, I think, great because it's very specific. Hey, Lamaze childbirth class is in LA, right? Like if I'm not in LA, I don't want to click on this. And that's okay. But because I am in LA, well,
Hmm.
I'm not, but because I'm in LA for the sake of this post, okay, great. Yep, she's doing something that um is going to be interested because I'm pregnant and I'm in LA. I want to know about Lamaze classes. I'm immediately know exactly what I'm going to get here. And then this what to know. You could say what to know. You could say FAQs. You could say get prepared, whatever. But this is a very clear title that's telling me what this blog post is about and why it's relevant to me. Immediately there's a photo, which also validates that. But the second question that I get all the time about blog posts is, well, how long should it be? We see a lot of blog posts that are like 1 paragraph or 2 sentences, and that's okay. There's times for when that happens, but we do typically, if we want to see blog posts perform in Google search, meaning that Google can read your blog post and understand what it is to show up in search results, it's typically around 1,000 words, which I know feels like a lot. But if you are doing a blog post, I would say, and Lisa, tell me if you feel differently, but anywhere between 500 and 750 words is probably going to be your minimum. Um,
Hmm.
if it's what I like to tell people is some of your pillar content, so things that aren't going to change, things that are kind of like your biggest blog posts that kind of talk the most about what you do, make those really, really long. And then the rest of your smaller posts can kind of link to them. But we want to shoot for 500 to 750 words, but for some of the bigger ones, 1,000. And you're going to see, I'm just going to scroll through this one really fast. It's long, right? And that's okay. So the next thing people say is, well, I'm not going to read that whole thing. That's not the point. The point is not, are they going to read the whole thing? The point is Google going to understand exactly what's here so that they can serve it up for search? And then getting into my point number 3, we don't need them to read the whole thing, but we need to have the readability there to where they can find the information that they need quickly as they skim. So you'll see here there's a lot of big headers. So maybe I care most about this part, right? So I stop there and I read that part. Or maybe I care more about why be in person for a Lamaze class, right? So you can see there's a lot of really strong headers here that allow me to skim through and kind of see where is the information that I need. And then I read that part. Oh yeah, this is really interesting. I like what this person has to say. I'm going to read more of it. So the readability is really important. The pictures are interjected in here. So even if I don't read the headers, I'm seeing pictures that are going to keep me engaged. Um, so those things are all really important. I'm going to pause there in case there's something, Lisa, that I'm not touching on that you would like me to mention. I
No,
don't.
I think a lot of people might not fully understand the headers and how
Yeah.
important they are when doing like anything on your website, not just a post or a blog. So the header is basically what Google is looking for, right? We need to think about that. Like that is what tells. So there should only ever be one H1 heading on your page.
Just the
And your
title.
other headings, yeah, your other headings are going to be your H2 and H3s. Now, a lot of people use, I think, the headings
Yeah.
and they pick the different ones because they come up in different sizes. So the one on the screen right now is an H3. I know that based on the size, but you
Hmm.
can always change the size of a heading and make an H3 heading appear bigger, but Google still sees it as an H3 heading.
Yeah,
So it's
you
a
want to
little
think about
confusing there.
it's like your
Yeah.
outline. Like if you were at when you were in school and you were doing like your outlines for mapping out your papers, like it's the same thing.
Yeah. So just make sure that you're not just using the H he or the headings as decorative, to make your blog look good. They serve a true purpose. And if you look at the headings, you'll see like a lot of them have Lamaze childbirth classes in Los Angeles because they're they're very key to pulling in that SEO into your website. So
Yep.
just something to keep in mind when you're doing your post.
Yep. Okay, awesome. Okay, so number four is links. And the other thing that's really great about this post is you'll notice that the links are um explore our upcoming Lamaze childbirth classes here, right? It's not just like the word here is not the only thing that's hyperlinked, right? We want to make sure that our links are giving um descriptive things of where you're going, not just saying click here. And the reason for that is twofold. One is for ADA people that are using e-readers. It's just if they're skimming your post with their e-reader and it just says click here, and then it's just going to read HTTPS semicolon slash slash, and it's going to read the whole URL, right? Like that's not a good experience. Instead, it could say explore our upcoming Lamaze childbirth classes and give them the URL. Now they know where they're going, so they know if they want to click and go. So that's super
Hmm.
important. And then also, again, for search engines, if we're spending the time writing these long blog posts, we want to make sure we're found organically for free as much as possible. So it also helps signal to search engines, hey, this is where this link, this is the intent we have behind where this link is going, and this is where the link is going. So they can kind of follow that thread to make sure that that's a good user experience and kind of help serve those up in search results. So this one happens to be going to her services page, which is great. Free birth confidence guide is going again to another page on her website. But again, it says free birth confidence guide. Even if I haven't read this whole thing, I see this and I know what this is and I know where I'm going, and it makes it a better user experience overall. So make sure that your hyperlinks are not just linking click here, that you're not putting the whole URL and linking that, that it is linked to some text that gives you context.
Hmm.
Okay, so the last one that I'm going to share, and I'm going to scroll, is the biggest mistake that I see people do in blog posts is they don't give you a call to action. Okay, so I've gotten to this post. I'm really engaged. I like the product or the service or the story that you're telling me, but I don't know what to do next. So now I've read this information and where do I go? So every blog post should have a call to action. And it could be sign up for my newsletter. Here it's a quick freebie, right? So to get people
Hmm.
on your email list. It could be follow us on social media to, stay on our journey. It could be, hey, this is another really important blog post that you need to read that maybe it's a series, right? So it could be linking people to a new thing. It could be buy a product, depending on what the blog post is about. And I think there's an, this is a long post, and so it's in here more than once,
Hmm.
right? So there's another call to action down here that's like, if we've made it all the way to the bottom here, we're probably pretty engaged. So this one's a little bit more direct about exploring services and contacting her in order to see if she can be supportive. So just paying attention. You'll also see that she's got calls to action in different types of experiences. So this is a link, reserve your spot. Or here's about our class experience. So also having bigger things like this, forms, hyperlinks, you're going to grab people in all different versions of how they like to consume content. But calls to action are super, super important, and they've done a great job here at making sure that you can do what you need to do where you are in the content, right? Like view upcoming class dates. So making the calls to action make sense for where they are in the content that you've got. So again, you might scroll through this and say, this is super long. Oh my gosh, nobody's going to read this. But the headers really guide the experience. The photos guide the experience. There's calls to action in several places to be able to encourage people to take action where they are when they're consuming the content.
Yeah, and the paragraphs, I like that the paragraphs on that blog too are super short.
Yep.
Like it may be a lengthy blog, but it's like an easy read as you're
Yep.
scrolling through, right? There's bullet points, there's yeah, short paragraphs. So it's an easy read, especially for somebody like me who I don't like reading, but I could skim and pull out like what Sammy said. And the one thing that I do want to mention, because I know a lot of people say, well, I wrote that blog, like you said, and nobody did anything. Well, first thing you need to do is look for your calls to actions. Did you have anything in that blog that actually told somebody, don't just read this, but now take action? And people are not going to read your post and just automatically contact you. Like, think about it. Would you do that? I know I wouldn't, right? So it needs to be something tangible for them, whether it's like click here to grab my free guide that goes into more depth about what I'm sharing or something like that. But yeah, your posts aren't just going to do all of the work. You need to put a lot of the work into it to make it work for you.
And even if
All
you
right,
don't have a
guys.
big, hang on, I just want to say, like, because even if you're not that,
Yeah.
if you're not that like far along, if you're a new business or you're just starting out and you're like, okay, I want to blog, I don't have a call to action, you don't have to have a big freebie and a lead magnet at the beginning. It could literally just be, hey, um, like the hyperlink could be email me and tell me what your biggest takeaway was, or email me and ask me a question about some, like, feel free to email me to reach out if you have questions about what was shared here or whatever. It could be just sending them to
Mhm.
your email. It doesn't have to be a big robust funnel. I mean, you'll get there eventually, but just yeah, keep it simple.
Yeah. And one thing that I will say, because we have like say people who have like a pampered chef business or something
Hmm.
like that, if you're writing a recipe blogs perform very well. But don't forget to link within the recipe blog the products that you used,
Yeah,
not
100%.
just how you made it, but like the products, like did you use one of your cookware items? Link to it and tell them why you use this, why this is your preferred method of cooking. Don't just post the recipe and leave it there. You're
Okay.
missing so much opportunity, right?
Yep.
So let's go and take a look at my Oh My High site, and we're going to go in and we are going to create a new blog post. So one thing that I will tell you is that everybody has basic blog posts, and I say basic because they are the one or two paragraph posts that Sammy's talking about. So if you go into the blue plus, click on patterns, you'll see blog posts here. Now, don't mind that one. I'll scroll past that one because that's my personal pattern that I've created. But you have these ones here, right? Now you'll look and they're all very similar. What I love about these patterns is that they're a great starting point. If you don't know where to start your blog, these are a great option for you to go in and say, okay, I'm just going to fill in the blanks with these blog posts. So let's pick this one, for example, because what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how you could customize this blog and actually go ahead and you can use it over and over again. Okay. So what you can do is I always work with the list overview open. That's just me. That's what I do. So say here, okay, let's start here. There's so much I could tell you. So I'm like all over the place. There's so much I could tell you. The title. So put this is the title. And then I want you to see something here. So this might be a very long title, like the blog post that Sammy was showing. It was a very long title. And automatically in Oh My High, this title is what actually creates your slug. So if I didn't want my slug to be a bunch of words, like in the post that Sammy showed you, I believe the slug was just Lamaze classes or something. It wasn't that big, long post. So you could come in here and maybe you just want this to be title. Like, so you can always edit your slug to whatever you want. So it automatically picks this up, but you could change it here. Another thing that you always want to do with your blog post is set a featured image. So let's go in and I'll just pull this one of Susan and I just because it's there and you have a featured image. I always prefer to create an excerpt. Now, to me, an excerpt is telling you just basically a short overview of what the post is about. So if somebody didn't want to go in and read it, that excerpt is basically it's like the breadcrumbs pulling them in, right? So it's like, is this worthwhile? Correct, Sammy? Is like
Yeah,
you
and
recommend
Lisa,
putting the
if you share your link on like Facebook or whatever, and then you get that little preview that shows up, I believe it's going to pull your featured image and your excerpt as
it
like
pull
that
your
copy.
yeah. Yeah, it will pull your featured image, but there's the new section here that you can also
Oh,
add a specific social share if you
look at
want
that.
it to. So, yeah, if you wanted it something different, like maybe you wanted one image to generate on your blog page, but then when you share it on social, you want it to be different. So you could just add it here. There are all the SEO options here as well. So I highly recommend adding that. So an SEO title might be something different than this title too, right? So you got to think about that strategically. What are your keywords? What are your customers or your people searching for? That's what's going to go in here. Your meta description too is going to be looked at more from Google than your excerpt. So your excerpt is for people visiting your site. Do they want to read this? But your meta description is telling Google what your post is about. So this has to be very keyword specific and answering the questions that most people are searching for, right?
And if that's overwhelming
And
to you, once you've written your blog post, take your blog post and put it into your favorite AI tool and just say, will you write
yep,
an SEO title and a meta description for me? Done.
yep. And just make sure you tell it it can only
Yep.
be 60 characters or 160 characters because sometimes they write longer ones and then you're like, how do
Yep.
I adjust that? But just be very specific and tell them this is what I need. All right, so enough of that with the settings. Well, actually, before we go, one more thing that I'll tell you is that the categories. So if you want to organize your blogs, and I won't go too much into this, but you can organize them based on categories. If you're just starting your blog, and you haven't had anything, everything's going to go under uncategorized, but you can add as many categories and subcategories as you want. Um, on there. So let's go ahead and take a look at your blog and how you can customize this. So right now, this is just a like a header, or they have it as a paragraph, but you could put this as a header. If you wanted to make this an H1 header, you could easily just click on it and go to the paragraph, change it to header, and then you just change it to H1. Now, this isn't going to go bigger because they've selected the font size, but you can go here and increase the font size if you want it to. Another thing that I might recommend is if you have a really great title and you want to pull that title into your blog, you can have the system do it automatically so that you don't have to type it over and over again. So just hit the blue plus, come over here and start typing in title, click title, and you'll see that boom, it pulls in exactly what the title is. Another thing that a lot of people are doing is if you say you want it to have um, let's say you want it to have your feature image, is what I'm trying to say in your blog. So come over here, type in featured image, boom. And your featured image is pulled into your blog because we want to make our blogs pretty too, right? People aren't just going to read things that are just like static. So, bullets, short paragraphs, images, links, buttons, all of those things apply. So you could set this up and create that. Yeah, so then you have this and then basically you can do this and have this set up where it's ready to go and it's like a format that you want to use over and over again. And then once you do it, you're going to highlight the sections on the side and you can go into here and click the three dots and you're going to hit create pattern. And then you're going to name this, and it could be my blog, right? But here's the thing, you want to make sure this is toggled off. You do not want this a synced pattern, because if it's a synced pattern, as soon as you write a new blog, it's going to change your old blogs. So just that is key. Make sure that you change that. And then you could just add that and then I will show you. It should go automatically. If I go into the patterns and I go my pattern, now you'll see that I have my own pattern here so that every time I go in and write a blog, I could just come in here and click this and it will just pull in and then I could update what I want to update.
I
How's
love
that
that.
sound, Sammy?
That sounds great. It makes things so much easier because you're not reinventing the wheel every time. Yeah, I think it's great. And I think also like play with it, test it, and I think the thing that people will be scared of is like, well, what if I want to change my pattern or like change it up? It's like then I have to go back and change everything else. I don't think you need to. Like do it for a
No.
period of time, see what you like. If you make an adjustment, you make an adjustment and move forward from there. Don't stress about it too
Hmm.
much.
Yeah, and I use a pattern all the time when I start, but it always looks different in the end.
Yeah.
But I use that as like my bones. And you'll hear me say this on any kind of live support call that I do is like, don't try to create things from scratch. Use one of our patterns and then just manipulate that pattern
Yep.
to achieve what you want, because these patterns are optimized for both desktop and mobile. So it's best to start with a pattern and then just add in or remove what you don't or what you want.
Hmm.
It's easier to do it that way for sure.
Right. And the last thing I'll say
All
about
right.
that I love is if you create a pattern, if you listen to this and you kind of create your checklist of, okay, I got to make sure that I'm doing all these things, you can build that into your pattern, right? I know I need to
Mm-hmm.
have a call to, your call to action might look different every time, but I know I need to have that. So I'm going to build that into my pattern. I know I need to have like a couple different header sizes. So I'm going to just build that into my pattern. Some of them I might use, some of them I might not, depending on the length of my blog post. But then you don't have to think so hard too when you're putting it together to make sure you remember all of the things that you need to have included because it's like creating a checklist and then you just add and delete based off of what that particular piece of content's all about.
Yeah, for sure. And I love this because there's so much that you could do on Oh My High, and we try to make it as easy as we can for you. And if you have any questions about what you've just heard us talking about, feel free to jump on our live support calls. They're happening every week, and I'd be happy to chat through it with you, and we can make your blog a great thing.
I
Right?
love it. I think that's it
Yeah,
for us today, and we'll see you next
I
month.
think
Yeah?
so.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good. All
Bye,
right, bye.
everyone.